Today in r/malicious compliance. Teacher says I can't have a cupcake that my mom made. This story happened back when I was in grade 6. I was a good student, not the class clown, and I had never been in trouble before. I had a little bit of malicious compliance, but it mostly came from my mom in this story. Cast of characters: me, Mrs. V, mean teacher, and mom, my mom. In grade 6, I was in my school's production of Grease, which took place in the evenings after school, in our school's theater. The schools were later in the evening, and with having to be there early for makeup and getting ready, I was at the school from about 5 at 9 for the production, which showed for 3 days. On the first night, I had my dinner before the show around 4:30, and towards the first intermission, I was getting very hungry, so I ended up letting my mom know during intermission that I was extremely hungry, and she donated about $3 to the bake sale and grabbed me one of the cupcakes that she made and quickly handed it off to me through the door, which was the access to backstage. Note: I never left backstage, and my mom was the only one to see me in my costume, which she helped make. As I turned around with my cupcake and headed back to my dressing room, I heard a throat clear, and I see Mrs. B, who is just a volunteer supervisor for musical, not the teacher in charge of my school's musical. Mrs. V, what is that? Me, it's a cupcake. Mrs. V, where did you get it? Me, the bake sale. My mom made it. Mrs. V, those are for the audience and are meant to be a fundraiser. You were not supposed to leave backstage. The audience can't see you in your costume. Me, I'm sorry. I was really hungry, and I wasn't going to make it until the end of the show. I let my mom know I was hungry, and she donated money to the sale and gave me one of the cupcakes she made. I thought it would be okay since we gave money, and she just gave it to me through the door to backstage. Mrs. V, that's not okay. Those are not meant for you. You can't eat it. Me, okay, I can put it back then. I had only touched the liner. Mrs. V, you touched it. You can't put it back. Me, okay, so I can't eat it, and I can't put it back. Mrs. V, that's right. Me, okay. Cue my small act of malicious compliance, so I walked over to the garbage, and I threw it out and walked back to my dressing room. After the show, I explained what happened to my mom, and she was a little pissed off. Since she donated money, I was now extremely hungry and had a stomachache. Then the next day, when I got to school, I was called to the principal's office since Mrs. V complained that I was disrespectful to her at the show. I explained what happened to the principal, and ultimately nothing came of it, but I had to go back to class with Mrs. V looked so smug. Once I got home from school that day, I told my mom that I had been called to the principal's office over the cupcake incident, and she was livid that this teacher was on such a power trip and had me pulled out of class over a cupcake. So she decided that instead of donating her cookies that she made to the bake sale for that night show, she'd take a note to the Tupperware container that said cookies for the cast from Toon Covers. Mom and ran to the store to get a big box of oranges and also added a note saying oranges for the cast from Toon Covers, Mom, which she told me to share with the cast. So later that night, when I was hungry, grabbed one of my cookies and Miss B saw me snacking on it. She came over with a red face, looking very mad. Mrs. V, this is ridiculous. After yesterday, how could you not follow my instructions? Me, wait, I have something to show you. I ran over and got the lid of the container with the note, which I showed her. Mrs. Well, me, is there a problem? Do you need to talk to my mom? Mrs. No, it's fine. Clearly it wasn't, since she looked like the vein in her forehead was going to burst. That's great. And I walked away. Unfortunately, I had to finish the rest of the school year with her, which was far from pleasant. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, smash the bell, and whatever else our YouTube overlords require nowadays.